On Christmas Eve 1945, a house in West Virginia suddenly caught fire. By morning, 5 children had vanished. Authorities declared them dead. But there was one problem. No bodies were ever found. Then strange things began to happen. A mysterious phone call, missing evidence, and years later, an unsettling photograph arrived in the mail. Did 5 children really die in the fire? Or were they taken? This is the mystery of the Sodder children.
The Sodder family lived in the quiet town of Fayetteville, West Virginia. George and Jenny Sodder were raising 10 children in a large family home. George was a successful businessman who had immigrated from Italy years earlier. To friends and neighbors, the Sodders seemed like an ordinary, happy family. On Christmas Eve in 1945, the house was filled with excitement. The children had opened their presents and stayed up late, enjoying the holiday together. Before going to bed, everything seemed perfectly normal. No one could have imagined that within a few hours, their lives would change forever. That night would become one of the greatest unsolved family mysteries in American history.
At around 12:30 in the morning, the family's telephone rang. Jenny Sodder answered the call. On the other end was a woman she did not recognize. The caller asked for someone who did not live there. In the background, Jenny could hear laughter and strange voices. She thought it was simply a wrong number and went back to bed. A short time later, she woke up again. This time, the house was on fire. Flames were spreading rapidly through the roof. George and Jenny rushed to save their children. Most of the family escaped, but 5 children were still trapped inside the burning house. As the flames spread through the house, George Sodder desperately tried to reach the upstairs bedrooms, but the staircase was already engulfed in fire. He ran outside, hoping to use his ladder. It was gone. Then he tried to move one of his trucks beneath the window to climb onto the roof. Neither truck would start. Both had been working perfectly just hours earlier. Neighbors watched helplessly as the fire consumed the house. By the time firefighters arrived, it was too late. 5 children were missing. Authorities believed they had died in the fire. But when investigators searched the ashes, they found something shocking. There were no human remains. The official investigation concluded that the 5 missing children had died in the fire, but George and Jenny Sodder refused to believe it. Investigators searched the ashes carefully. Surprisingly, they found very few human bones. Experts later pointed out that an ordinary house fire would not have been hot enough to completely destroy 5 bodies. Then, more strange details began to emerge. A telephone repairman discovered that the family's phone line had not burned in the fire. It had been deliberately cut before the flames started. Soon after, a witness claimed to have seen a man stealing the Sodder's ladder on the night of the fire. Another person reported seeing the missing children alive the following morning, riding in a car with several unfamiliar adults. Each new clue made the mystery even more difficult to explain. Years passed, but George and Jenny Sodder never stopped searching for answers. They even placed a large billboard along the highway, offering a reward for information about their missing children. Then, more than 20 years after the fire, something unbelievable happened. Jenny received an envelope in the mail. There was no return address. Inside was a single photograph. The picture showed a young man who looked remarkably like Louis Sodder, one of the missing boys. On the back of the photograph was a cryptic handwritten message. No one could fully understand what it meant. Private investigators tried to trace the photograph, but they found nothing. Was it a cruel hoax? Or was it the first real proof that at least one of the children had survived? To this day, nobody knows the answer.
As the years passed, countless theories emerged. Some believed the fire had been a tragic accident. Others were convinced that the children had been kidnapped before the house was destroyed. Supporters of this theory pointed to the missing ladder, the cut telephone line, and the strange phone call that came just before the fire. Witnesses also claimed to have seen the missing children alive after the tragedy. Yet none of these claims could ever be proven. No arrests were made, no one ever confessed. And despite decades of investigation, no definitive evidence was found to explain what truly happened that Christmas Eve. The Sodder family's search for answers became one of America's longest-running unsolved mysteries. Even today, people continue to debate whether the 5 children died in the fire or disappeared forever. Nearly 80 years have passed since the Sodder house burned to the ground. The fire is long gone, but the questions remain. How could 5 children disappear without leaving a single trace? Why was the telephone line cut before the fire? Who removed the family's ladder? And who was the young man in the mysterious photograph? Perhaps the children died that Christmas night. Or perhaps they were taken and lived the rest of their lives under different identities. We may never know the truth, but one thing is certain. The Sodder children mystery remains one of the most haunting unsolved cases in American history. Sometimes, the most terrifying mysteries are not the ones we can explain. They are the ones that leave us with questions that may never be answered. What do you think really happened to the Sodder children? Share your theory in the comments. If you enjoyed this story and want more hidden, forgotten, and mysterious stories from across America, subscribe to America Unknown Files. The next mystery is already waiting.